Hello, Thomas. How are you?
Hello. Another fine day.
Another fine foreign Friday, indeed, Thomas. Well, maybe it was a
we
good
missed
thing.
last week, which was too bad.
Well, maybe it was a good thing.
Well, no, I had two winners.
Yeah.
Granted, they were favorites, but
Hmm.
Alpinista, she looked very powerful in her run. Went off at 7-2. I thought that was an okay price,
Yeah,
considering
it's a
she was
pretty good
the favorite.
price. Hmm.
And then the other one is Kinross, who should be showing up in that Breeders' Cup Mile.
Ah,
That's the
fantastic.
plan. So that could be interesting.
Well, speaking of the Breeders' Cup, this is the last weekend, right, for the Breeders' Cup qualifying. I think after this weekend,
Yeah,
that's
there's
that.
a ton of races.
And all the fields will be set,
Yeah.
so to
Well,
speak.
they'll be getting there.
Indeed. And we'll absolutely have our take coming up soon on the Breeders' Cup international influence. This year, we won't exclude any countries. It'll be all across the globe. We'll talk about all the foreign horses and which ones we think have a chance, which ones we think are there just for the pop and circumstance, for the fun, the parties, that sort of thing. And then, of course, we'll make all of our picks known for what we like in the Breeders' Cup later on. All right, Tom, so tell us a little bit about today's adventure.
Oh, we're at Caulfield for one of their better cards of the year. We have the Guineas, which is the big race.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a couple other Group 1s and then some Group 2s. So it's a top card. Randwick also has some top races this weekend. So Australia has got all kinds of decent racing, just like in the States and a few other places.
It's the place to be down under with men at work. All right, so this is the Caulfield track, what it looks like, because we like to have a sense of what we're dealing with around here. And then the first race we're going to do today is Caulfield Race 5. It is the Herbert Power Stakes. It's 2,400 meters, and it's supposed to start at approximately 11:35 p.m. Eastern, and that is this evening, not tomorrow night, but it's Saturday over there, but Friday over here. It's also confusing to me, Tom, so hopefully the picks aren't as confusing. The 2,400 meters, let's see, looking here, we're going to start. It looks like we're going to go more than one time around, huh? We're going to start, go past the finish line once, come back up around. I'm not sure which one of these two turns are going to take, but I'll take the inside turn, come back around and finish again. Is that right?
I think you're correct.
All right. Well, I got the first thing right on the day. Let's see if we can get the picks right today. So how are you going to start off in the Herbert Power Stakes?
Okay, my top choice is going to be number 8, Point Neapi. Been away. It was away for 3 months and looked like it needed to start. It was finished 9th, but it was very forwardly placed early and nothing at the end. But the races before, I've been good. Especially they've been at this distance and at 2,800 meters, and they got 4 races, 3 wins, and a second. Definitely one that's going to be forwardly placed in this race, no question in my mind. According to my speed map, Desert Icon, the 4 will be the.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Speed map. Here's a speed map. There you go.
Oh yeah, perfect.
There you see. Point Nepean or Nepean. Looks like it's going to be the leader for sure, according to this.
Well,
chart anyway.
I think that one, or I kind of think based on the past, Desert Icon is going to be the French spread one on the bottom. I think that one's going to be the front runner.
The Desert Icon down here.
Yeah, and the one on the bottom.
And if you want to see closing speed, they'll look about the same. So maybe you might want to have some early speed, because if there's not much difference at the end, there's not much. The race could be won in the beginning.
It very well could be, and especially one of these long races, if they can get away with a little bit of a dawdling pace. And the track wise, it's supposed to be right now. It's a good, and I think it was good 4 or good 3. I forget what
I thought I saw soft 7. To be honest with you,
yes, okay. Here now it's
soft 7. Yes, indeed.
Got light rain. Okay.
Ooh, I was thinking, oh no, I've handicapped completely incorrectly, but yeah, it looks like soft rain, possible light rain, soft 7.
Okay. Number 9, Regal Lion is my next choice. This one will be at the opposite end of the spectrum during the beginning of the race. It'll either be dead last or close to dead last. But it's really interesting. It's won a decent company at 1,700 meters. and on its start. Past life, it's been placed in Group 2 and Group 3 races, but at this distance, it's never won. But it is a closer, and you got to figure it's going to be somewhere around at the end. Finally, I'm going to take 5 Emissary, my final choice. When I first started this season in a listed company at Caulfield, and then it raced 5th the next race at Caulfield, but that was moving up into Group 3 company with going at 2,000 meters. It's raced in the 6th and 7th spot. There's a little shifting going on there, but didn't finish. Is the best way to describe it. I think the returning, I think should be right in this. I think the longer distance will help this horse, and I think this company, it looks to be a competitive horse in this field. And again, if the map is correct, it'll be sitting mid-pack for most of this race.
So I'm going to go with Desert Icon as my top choice in here. The horse has been at the track 4 times, a win, a couple of seconds. Been at the distance 3 times, a win and a second. Horse has also been on a soft track 5 times, 2 wins and a third. It's just one to me that looks like it's in good form right now. Look at the fractions last out. They were pretty similar. Definitely the distance is not a problem. So I think you'll see this horse perform very well. Next horse on my list is going to go down here. So I was going through this. I really only had, I should really set the lines for these things because I don't know the odds when I'm going through them, but it seems like sometimes I'm right on target. I'm going to go with number 12, Saracen Knight. Horse is making, it's like 5th start in a row. It's another horse that's been on the, really just running very well. 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd. Nice improvement in the fractions. Been at the distance 6 times. What I like on a soft track, 3 wins and 4 thirds. So done fairly well on a soft track. Hasn't raced at only 1 time at the track with the win, but 1 time at the distance, not much there. Now I'm going to get a little bit more expensive, I hope, with the 6 horse. That's Macram. This is a horse, Macram, that is making its 4th start off a layoff. On the soft track, it's an all or nothing horse. These horses, I like all or nothing horses in that they either they win or they don't finish on the board at all. So you can kind of put it at the top of your ticket sometimes and then move yourself away. This is a horse that jockey trainer combination, as you can see here, winning at 27%. The horse has won 38% of all of its races. It's a little concerning according to this thing, the wide barrier. But this one should be, I think, the perfect Tom horse. Is it going to win? Nah, but a chance to put yourself in the money. And then finally, the German entrant here, Chabot, or whatever the horse's name might be, making the 2nd start off a layoff. If you look at second up over here, the horse has run 4 times, 2nd off a layoff. Oops, I don't want to do that because we don't get paid to do that. But 4 times out, 2 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. So never off the board. And a horse that should do okay on the soft as well. So I'm going to go 4, 12, 6, and 7 for the opening race for us, at least the Herbert Power Stakes. Next race we're going to do, Tom, is race number 6. This one is the Schillaci Stakes. Hopefully I got that right. It is 1,100 meters for race number 6. And race number 6 is expected to start at approximately 12:10 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're up a little bit coming before you're heading out to the clubs in New York City, you might want to check out the Schillaci Stakes at 1,100 meters. And if 1,100 meters, it's going to start here on this chute, looks like, come straight down, 1 little turn to the left, and then straight to the finish line. Tom, in this race, what do you see happening? Well, let's look at the pace setup first. What do you say? Let's have a little order to the way we do things now. So the speed map looks like you got Alligator Blood. It's going to be pretty aggressive. And Zaki being the 2 that look like they have a pretty distinctive early pace lead over everybody else. And then coming home, again, looks like it's not much difference between any of the above. So once again, maybe that early speed might be the difference.
Are we on the right race? I think
race 6.
No, you're on race 7. Yeah.
Race
I was
6.
looking at those names. I'm going, those are
Race
Group
here.
1
I
horses, not Group 2 horses.
I just clicked off to the wrong one. I have them in order up top here, but I closed out race 5. So let's do that again. So let's go look at the speed maps once again. So we got a little preview. That's called foreshadowing in the business.
Yeah, well,
in the boat. Looks like it's going to be in the lead. Queen of the Bale and Zoo Style coming in as right up in there. These two back here better have a lot of late pace, the 2 and the 7. Otherwise, you might be feeling they do have the most late pace, but really doesn't look like they have a distinct advantage. Nonetheless, it's a race that looks to me like it could be won either way. All right, we got the right horses. We got the right race. Race number 6. This one is still the Schillaci Stakes. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start with number 1. I'll call it. Ran an okay 6th last out, but was really not close in that race. Didn't have the final kick to get home. But this was a Group 1 race. Now it's dropping a little bit to a Group 2 type. He's placed in Group 1 company three times. He's won from 4 races in Group 2 level, and he's done much better at the Group 3 level, winning 2 and placing in 1. But I think he's suited for this race off the last start. He's done better at first off the layoff than second, but he does have a win, and I think he's going to win here. Strong finisher. Number 6, a little bit of a speed horse. He's going to be that In the Boat. Raced at Caulfield last out, first of the season in a Group 3, and it ran 5th, but it narrowly missed a placing. So it was right up there. Its second up record is pretty good. It's got 2 starts and 2 placings, but it's not at this level. So we'll see. I think it'll be on the lead. And I think that if it was a little short in form last time, I think that race will help, and we'll see what it can do in here. Finally, I am going to take one of the dead closers, and that's number 7, Express Pass. First start after a 2-month break. It was I think it was a good race. I mean, 1,100 meters and finished 3rd. And then, it's moving up a little bit here. But it's got a nice record with a second start. It's got 2 wins and 2 placings from 5 starts. Definitely moving up though, so we'll see. It really depends on if there's a lot of tempo in this race or a lot of speed in this race. I think will depend on where this horse finishes, and I think there's enough up front that this one will be closing at the end. You're muted.
Even better now. I probably said the most brilliant thing I've ever said. We just missed our viral moment, Thomas. All right. For me, race number 6, I'm going to start with the 4 horse. This one is Zoo Style. Well, looks like a 5-1 right about now. The horse has been on a soft track 8 times, 4 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. It's also making its 3rd start off a layoff. So 3rd up, 6 times out, 3 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. Clearly done pretty well under this circumstances. Ran out at the distance 3 times, 2 wins. So a lot of reasons to believe that the distance, the cycle, and the track conditions fit nicely for Zuisti. Number 7, that was one of your picks too, Tom. That one's Express Pass, 22-1. It's a very much a Tom horse. This one, one of the reasons I really like it, the horse has been on this soft track 7 times, 3 wins and 3/3. So only once finishing out of the money. But if you look over here, wet too, in case it gets downgraded, 7 out of 8. So it really looks to me like this is a horse that likes a little bit of water on the grass. So I think you'll see that work to its advantage. As you mentioned, 2nd up. This horse has done it 5 times, 2 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. And I like the fact that it came off the bench to run a nice 3rd place finish last time out. So if it improves, it's 2nd or 1st, right?
Well, and it just missed a placing, so it ran a good race. Yeah,
so next up,
looked like it needed a race.
Yeah, we'll get that in the 2nd up. In the Boat, one of your picks as well. For me, is my 3rd choice here. It's 6-1, also making its 2nd start off a layoff, a 2nd and a 3rd in doing that. Soft track, maybe a little bit of a question mark with only 2 times out with a second in there, 1 missed. But what I like over here is that at the distance, the horse has run 5 times, won 3 of them, has a third mixed in, but it's also been at the track 4 times, 3 of which were at the distance, 2 of them turned into wins. So certainly would be comfortable with the track and distance. My only question mark is how does he like the wet surface? We'll see if that plays out or not. And then finally, the final pick for me is General Beau, the 5 horse. One's making its first start since May, so it's been a little bit of time in the barn. Been a year since the horse won. But on that first up, the horse has gone out 4 times, managed to win 2 of them with a third. So it's done okay in that circumstance. 2 times on a soft track, 3 times with 2 seconds mixed in. And it's done okay at the distance too. This one looks kind of like that, like a good old fashioned hanger to me. One that wants to be involved, just doesn't want to win. So probably fills out the exactas or the trifecta, something along those lines. All right, now we're going to get to the horses we talked about before. This is race number 6 too. I got up here. See, I just completely threw myself for a loop by clicking on things. This is race number 7. Very easy to pronounce. The Might and Power Stakes. This one's 2,000 meters. And if you look at 2,000 meters, they're going to start a little bit past the finish line, make that turn up there, come all the way around the track, and then run through the finish line again. This one will start at approximately 12:50 a.m. Eastern, Thomas. All right, so now we are on, I want to make sure we're on the right race. We're on race number 7. So I got to put this up over here as well so that we are on the same page. Race number 7, if we look at the early speed map, we saw this already in a little bit of foreshadowing. Alligator Blood and Zaki are the ones that'll take the lead. And then on the way home, it looks like it's a pretty tight mix between the folks. So I think, again, early pace has the chance to have a little bit of an early race positional advantage, perhaps. Is that how you see that race playing out?
I do. And I do like I think the class of the field, number 7, Animo is my top choice. Won first 2 starts of the season, both in Group 1s, one at 1,400 meters and one at 1,600 meters. It's also won at this distance before. This is a very consistent horse. 11 starts, 5 wins, and 5 placings at the Group 1 level. So it's right there. It likes to sit closer to the pace, and maybe it really will depend on the tempo. Well, based on Alligator Blood and Zaki being in here, we're going to see some pace, even going at this distance. And my one concern with this horse was the last race it came out of it. They had a vet check and showed it was lame, and it's one of its front forelegs. So the trainer was then asked later, and they found no issues after the fact and has been training correctly. So that would be a little bit of a concern for me, but we'll see. Because they won that race. Remember, it won that race too. So
that little ding you heard there was
it's lame and it's winning. I don't know.
So a little ding there was the trainer confirming that you're right.
Yep. Number 1, Zaki is my next choice. That's I think the speed in this race. Won its first start of the season, Group 2 company, 1,400 meters. The description in the race was really neat. He plowed through the heavy going because the track was heavy, and to win. And I thought that was a great description. Last start at 1,800 meters was Group 1 company, ran 3rd of 6th. The interesting thing that happened in that race was that another rider struck the horse twice. So, yeah, that probably cost him the race, in my opinion. That any horse would react that way, and especially one that's going to want the lead. And that happened early in the race. So probably a little intimidation there. He's taking a lesson.
Seems like a lot of that going on these days.
But they didn't find any foul with it. They said it was accidental. He's run second in a lot of races. He just got to finish. He's going to be he is the speed in my opinion on this race. And it's just a matter of the conditions seem to suit him, and the pace will certainly, he can set it, and let's see what he can do at the end. Finally, a little bit of a price here. I'm going to take number 5, Mogunga.
Maunga.
Yeah. 3 Group 1 races this season. It's ran 2nd, 3rd, and 10th. Well, the 10th was the its first race of the season. And yeah, it needed it. It was one of those ones you needed it. The distance is interesting. What they've been building on this horse. They started at 1,400, ran 1,600, then 1,800, and now we're going to be at 2,000. It's won at this distance before, and it's never finished worse than 4th at this distance. So to me, that's the kind of horse I like to put in that exacta or that trifecta, because I think it's got a nice chance of hitting the board, and I think you're going to get a bit of a price on it too.
Well, it looks like about 11-1 right now. That's a pretty good number.
I would certainly take that.
But it's not as good as the number I'm about to give you, Thomas. I'm going to go a little bit with the killers right now. I'm going to go with Mr. Brightside. Mr. Brightside. Anyway, this horse, I mean, you kind of have to look at this, the soft track record, kind of hard to ignore. 7 times out with 5 wins. It's clearly a horse that likes the soft surface. You look at last time out, and you say, man, that horse finished 5th. Not a very good run. But if you look at the conditions, it was good. So if this horse gets an off track, seems like it really flourishes. So I'm going to go with Mr. Brightside, the killers, as my first choice. The race favorites, my second choice. I'm always trying to beat them. It's something I've learned from my good friend here, Tom. The Enemo should be a horse that's in better condition, and it's 3rd off a layoff. If you look 3rd up, the horse has done it the 3 times, 2 wins and a 3rd, so never off the board. It's run at the track 4 times, so comfortable running there, 3 times in the money with a win, a 2nd, and a 3rd. 3 of them at the distance with a win and a 2nd. Clearly a horse, I mean, has done nothing wrong. Won its first 2 races coming off the break, looking to make it 3 in a row. Gotta love the name, Alligator Blood. So how do you not go with that horse, Alligator Blood, as the 3 horse here? I'm going to go with Alligator Blood coming off. It's making its kind of 4th start without a layoff. Last win was just 12 days ago. Horse has won 48% of its races. Not bad. So in the money from 70% of the time. Soft track does concern me a little bit, as it has only a win and a 2nd, but it's running Group 1 races 6 times with 3 wins and 2 seconds. Tells me the horse gets up for the big races. This is a big race, so hopefully the horse gets up for that. And then number 1, Zaki, probably the speed of the race, as you mentioned, Tom. It is my final choice in here. 3rd off the layoff. This is the reason why I didn't have it higher. So you look to me, this horse looks like it likes to run in the first 2 and then kind of fades afterwards. 7 times it's gone out as the 3rd time started off a layoff with a win, a couple seconds and a couple thirds. So it does look to me like its performance starts to tail off a little bit. And from race 1 to race 2, its performance did tail off a bit. So maybe you'll see that trend continue. Race number 8. This one is the Caulfield Guineas. I know I finally started pronouncing that correctly. This one is going to go off at approximately, let's make sure I get that right, approximately 1:30 a.m. Eastern, 12:30 our time. Thomas, will you be awake to see it?
I hope so, because it looks like a good race.
And this one is 1,600 meters on the Caulfield track. So 100 meters is going to start about halfway through this partial backstretch here. Come around. Boy, it sure looks like they should go up this way instead of that.
Yeah, they do go up that way.
All right, good. So as I said, it just looks like a much better turn. Come back down around. Come over here to the finish line. Again, we'll take a quick look at the kindness that they provide for us in race number 8. The Guineas, I'm always got to close that one off when I'm done. Let's look at the speed map, see how they're going to come. Ooh, a lot of early speed in this race, Tom.
Yeah, you're going to see a bunch near the front.
And then on the closing speed coming home, again, it doesn't really look to me like there's a whole lot of difference between the horses and what they have in the late legs. Maybe there's a whole lot of early speed, but maybe that's what gives a horse a positional advantage. Maybe not the horse that's out on the lead, but those are the 3rd or 4th tactical speed. You think that might lay out the way the race goes based upon what you see here?
Yeah, that, and this is a big field too.
Oh yeah.
So
how many horses did you put in as your potential candidates?
I started out with 12.
Oh, 12. Well, that's a little better than me. I had 9.
And then I finally broke it down and ended up on number 4. Mullane is my top choice. Lots of problems last time out. It lost the race basically at the start. It was mid-pack the rest of the race. Never really made any forward progress. He has a win in a listed race at Flemington in his first start. Then he has a second start. He ran third again with issues. In his third race, he ran with no cover and ran decently. I think this is one that needs to tuck in to have any chance. I'm just looking for a clean trip, and I'm looking for the price, and we'll see what happens.
22-1, that'll work.
Yeah, number 1, Tijuana is my next choice. Won last out at 16 this distance in a Group 2 company, but it had an awkward start, which is interesting because it obviously overcame that. But it's generally been, this horse has always had problems. 4 out of its 5 races, something has gone wrong at the start. But it wins. So you're like,
well, maybe you better hope it doesn't get off to a clean
3
start.
wins. I mean, it's got 3 wins and 3 and 2 seconds. I mean, this is really an interesting horse, and it's like, okay, what's going to happen this time? When he did have no issues, he broke on top. He was and he led that race all around. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he does at the start, and if he gets a clean break, is he going to be the pace setter, and they're going to have to play come and get me? Mm-hmm. Finally, I'm going to take one of the closers in my mind is Berkeley Square. Sat behind the field last out, and the tempo was fast in that race, and it was perfectly suited for this horse because he came on and did a nice job. And he won over my second choice, Tijuana. Mm-hmm. They have changed the tactics on this horse a few times, but these are all 3-year-olds. So, a little experimenting. They put it on the lead before and it won, and they let it close and it won. So there's some versatility there, and that is always encouraging that I like to see in a young horse. It's moved up in company gradually from maiden start into the open company. I think it's going to be interesting to see if this one's the favorite.
Well, right now it's not, I don't think, but it's close.
No, it's not right now, but I think near post time, I think it's going to be, if you get 4-1, I think you're doing really well. I think I was looking more at like 2-1.
Well, where you leave off, I begin with Berkeley Square is my top choice. Ran 4 times, 3 wins and a second. But interestingly, every single one of those is on a soft track, including ones on a soft track at Caulfield. So until that horse shows it's not going to run a good race on a soft track, you got to believe it's going to continue to do so. Tijuana is my second choice in here, Tom. Tijuana is a horse that is making its 4th start off of a layoff. But again, a horse that, when I'm looking at it, just seems like it's on the improve, has not run a bad race. And if you kind of look at the horse's, like, its path to 1 mile, it seems like the longer the horse goes, the better. So I feel like this is a horse that's going to benefit from today's distance. And
if it doesn't make a mess of the start again.
Well, according to you, we want it to make a mess of the start, because if it doesn't make a mess of the start, it might not know what to do.
Yeah, it still wins. It's obviously there's a lot of horse there now. If they can straighten that out, they may have a really good horse.
Well, eventually they'll get that straightened out, or maybe that's just his personality. Give everybody a little bit of indigestion before he gets up and going.
Heart attack.
Number 11, Elkington Road is my third choice. Is a horse that's only making its 3rd career start, but so far, Tom, you know how many he's won?
He's gone 2 of them, and he's been very quick.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about both of them is they were on a heavy track. So this is actually going to be an upgrade for this horse.
He may not even like the soft running.
Yeah, it might be too firm for him. But a horse that hasn't lost, doesn't know how to lose. Until he knows how to lose, I think he'll be competitive. You got to throw him in there. And at 34-1, if he proves that he's a really high quality horse, you're going to be grateful for those odds. In fact, those odds went from 34-1 to 26-1. So some people are already backing that horse a little bit. And also what I like about this horse is the fact that it went from 6 furlongs in its debut to 7 furlongs in its second start. And in both of them was able to win. So adding distance was not an issue. We'll see if he's a sprinter or if he can actually handle some routes. We'll find out tonight or tomorrow morning, depending upon where you live. And then finally, number 7 is my final choice in here. That is Meridius. Meridius making its third start off a layoff. Hasn't done it yet, so we're not quite sure what to expect from this horse. But what I do like, 4 races so far, a win, a couple of seconds, and a third. Never out of the money. Has run on a soft track twice. Hasn't collected the W there yet, so that's all right. First time at a Group 3 race. Did finish second. And again, this is another horse that looks to me just like on paper. I could be reading this incorrectly. Wouldn't be the first time. But it just seems to me this is a horse. Man, it won't be the last for sure. I'll screw something up by the time we hang up here. But it's another horse to me that just looks like it's going to benefit from going a little bit longer. So it likes the longer. It likes the wet surface. It's going to go a little bit longer. Things that I think are going to work to its benefit. Our last race at Caulfield, before we go to a little bonus at Keeneland today, race number 9. This one is the Toorak Handicap. The Toorak Handicap being one that's, again, 1,600 meters. Start here, go up, and then back down and around. And the Toorak Handicap is going to start at approximately, and forgive me because I'm blind, so I got to look into the computer here, at 2:10 a.m. Eastern. Tom, any chance to be awake at 1:10 in the morning?
Probably a very good chance, not knowing my weird sleeping schedule. And certainly will be this where the Guineas race piques my interest. This one has just got a ton of speed in it. Mm-hmm. I see. I had 5 horses that could be possibly on the lead in this race. And that made it a little harder for me to go which way to go with it. There was one I left out that I'm going to put for my 5th choice, which is number 5. I Wish I Win. Is stepping up in class, so it'll be interesting to see if that horse could get into this.
Looks like with that, the favorite too.
With that, I took number 13, Pinstripe. Striped is my top choice. He's running Group 1 company.
A little bit of a Yankee fan, are you?
Well, maybe. He didn't place in that race, but he's coming off some decent races, and he sits in the rear. He makes one big run, and if the tempo suits him, which I think it will with all this speed, he'll be flying at the end. His first race this season, he ran second in a listed race. He did have some problems in the race, getting brushed by a horse when he was moving up. Again, this is one that's going to sit back there, and he got to step up in class, but there's so much speed in this race. I really think this one's got a chance. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Convergent is my next choice. 2 yuck races start the season out. And they were on the soft and heavy, but he needed the races. There's no question in my mind. In the last race, he ran last and finished last. But this is a horse that is talented. He's won at Group 2 races twice, Group 1 races, I should say, twice. He's won at this distance 3 times, 3 from 6. I just think if they've got figured out, this horse is going to be a bit of a price, and I think it's one you got to watch for. Just got to see if it's going to run a little better. Mm-hmm. And finally, I'm going to take number 3. Dahlia Sun is my final choice. 2 races this season. It has a win and then in the versus listed company, and then a 6th in Group 1 company. Had some problems at the break in the last race and was in the back of the field, but really picked up at the end and was moving nicely. He's even in the race that he won, he had some issues. So This is one that looks like it could be a little bit of a sleeper in here in my mind. Again, with all that speed up front, this is one that I think will definitely be closing.
Coming down the stretch, they come. All right. So, and for me, I think, what is there? How many horses in this race? 16 horses?
16.
And I think that you and I didn't agree on one. So between us, we have a little more than half the field. So one of them has to be the winner, Thomas. Or maybe you might want to play the other ones that we don't have. I have number 8, Tuvalu, as my top choice. Tuvalu making its second start off of a layoff. Second up, maybe hasn't performed great in terms of wins, but the horse has 3 seconds and a win in 4 tries. So certainly has done its fair share of good work. Not all that far away from maybe winning all 4 of them. It's been at the distance 4 times, collecting a couple of wins and a couple of seconds. Been on a soft track 4 times, couple of wins, couple of seconds. So in the right place in terms of its form cycle. Certainly doesn't mind the surface, certainly doesn't mind the distance. Only 1/3 at the track in 3 runs. Next one for me is the 11 horse, which is Military Expert. Military Expert right now looks like it's about 14-1 odds. It's actually kind of going up, 7-1 for you. Yeah, it looks like the odds are kind of drifting higher. Earlier in the day, morning line was around 9-1, 8-1, somewhere in that line. I like how they do the odds, though, in other places in the world where they're a little bit more incremental than they are here. So 17-2, we don't get 17-2 or 23-5 or anything like that. But I think it would be fun if we did. Horse making its 4th start off a layoff on the soft track 5 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds. I like it to track 2 times out, 1 win and a third. So I can appreciate that. 2 times at the distance with a win, and another horse that just, it looks to me like as long as he's on a good or soft surface, you're going to get a good race. The last 4 times on a good or soft surface, a couple of wins in a couple of seconds. So I'll take that. My next choice is number 7, which is Buffalo River. I think this is one of the horses that looked like it could be on the early pace in here too. Buffalo River is a horse that is making its, 5th or 6th start. Hasn't really had much of a break here. Hasn't won in a year, but has done most of its really good work on a soft track. You can see on the good track, hasn't won. Heavy track, all or nothing. But on a soft track, been in the money 8 out of 9 times. Got to like that. In the money at Caulfield, 6 out of 9 times. Been in the distance, 6 times a win, a second and a third. And it's a horse to me, last time out, finished 5th, a little bit better times. That's improving off a 10th the race before. So a horse that's heading in the right direction, in my opinion. And the last pick of the day for me, for Tom, we got one more race to go. That's at Keeneland in just a moment. But number 10, Gentleman Roy. 3rd start after a layoff. 3rd off, 2nd, and a win. Not bad. Horses run at the distance 6 times, clearly likes that distance, winning 4 of them in 6 races. And in the other 2, finished 2nd. Got to appreciate that. Maybe a little bit question mark on the soft surface with only a couple of seconds and a win in 4 races, but still performing well enough to get some consideration from me at 10-1. So I'm going to go 8, 11, 7, and 9, just missing a 10 in that mix. So what the hell? If you're going to play a superfecta, maybe throw the 8, 9, 10, and 11 in there, catch all of your winners at Caulfield in the Toorak Handicap. All right, Tom, before we go on to our bonus race today, which is going to be at Keeneland for the Coolmore Stakes, as we start to really wrap up and start looking forward to the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland, maybe you can fatten your budget a little bit today by going to the Picks with the Professor. There's a link down below in the description here on YouTube. Make sure you follow that. You want to watch his whole show. Parlays are a little bit harder to hit. He does really well on his play of the day. Take a look at that in the video. While you're there, hit him up with some pretty good comments. Let him know that Horse Racing Today sent you. Let them know by shouting your support for him and us. All right, Tom, our bonus race of the day is race number 10, which is interesting because we went race 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in Australia.
Except the time's a little different.
Well, there's a little bit of a break in there for sure. Not much, but a little bit of a break in there. And we're going to go to Keeneland, race number 10, which is the Coolmore Turf Mile Stakes. Tom, why did you want to pick this one?
It's 1 mile, which is the Breeders' Cup Mile race, and this will certainly be one that will have some influence. And this I thought turned out with 14 starters plus 5 also eligibles is a really competitive bunch. Top to bottom, I thought there even some of the ones that are borderline, I think are could be a factor in this race, and certainly there is a ton of speed. And that one horse, and also somehow like it Hot Brown. It'll be interesting to see what they do with those two.
They're going to probably blast out of there for sure. But I don't know. That last race for Classic Causeway wasn't as good as the first one was. So maybe the lack of the first one, it really got away with without really a whole lot of pressure. Not going to get that chance today.
Well, and it's also there's no no Godolphin horse in there either this time around either. The Nation's Pride, so that probably helps too. With that, I'm going to take number 9, Casa Creed. To me, this is the now horse. We were at the 4-star Dave at Saratoga, and that horse just blew him away.
Did indeed.
Looked extremely impressive doing it. And if you watch the Jaipur, which was at 6 furlongs, the same thing. So it's 2 for 2. I tossed the Dubai race out. I thought it was too close to the leader in that race. And in Saudi Arabia, it ran second to a Japanese horse who happens to be very good. So no shame in that. So really, it's run some excellent races this year, with the exception of that Dubai. And I was, again, very impressed with that run at Saratoga. He's 6 years old, and I think he's going to get a third win here. With that, I'm going to go a bit of a price. I'm going to take number 4, Gray's Fable, as my next choice. Last race was at Kentucky Downs. It didn't break well, and frankly lost the race right there, so I tossed it. Wanted a mile at Ellis with a nice late kick, and then showed a different dimension, going more speed at Indiana, and against Ivor that race, and Ivor won it, and this one ran 6th. He's a grade 2-3 winner. This is his first try at grade 1, but I think he's got a good chance of upsetting this field, and definitely going to get a price on this one.
Well, 30-1 morning line, so I think you probably will see a price. Too many good horses in here for the money to chase everyone. I think that number is likely to go up, not down.
Yeah, I would say up. Finally, I have to take one that's ultra consistent based on the number of races it's run, and that is number 2, Smooth as Like Straight. Great tactical speed, and he's going to need it with this speed that's going to be up front, because I don't see this one on the lead, even though it has done its best work on the lead. With that, saying that, it's ran second 6 times and third once since it's won. So is it got that second-itis, or is it going to turn it around here? I'm going to go with second-itis. But he's running in the top company. And, he's running in either grade 1 or grade 2 races. So it's not like they're dodging anybody, or they've dropped him down to increase. They get his confidence back or some other stuff like that. But I think he's got plenty of confidence. It's just a matter of what kind of run he gets and what that speed does. If they get a dawdling pace on the front end on the 2-turn mile, then anything can happen with the front runners. But if they do what I think they're going to do, and I think we'll probably see another one out there in the front too, those will be fading, and the rest will be coming like the cavalry charge.
Well, I'm going to go with Santon as my top pick in here. Undefeated in the pair at that distance of 1 mile. Been on the Keeneland track one time and won that one as well. Ivar is going to be my second choice, right to his inside, the 6 horse. Did run the top last race speed figure for this group. But what I do like about Ivar is occasionally
lost to Modern Games by a city block.
But what I do like is sometimes if you look at his late pace numbers, it can just put some like blastful numbers out there. And if he runs one of those races where he pops such a huge late number, as you mentioned, if there is some speed, I think he has the most late upside in the field.
And he was eight wide in that race too, that last race.
Number 5, Mason is my third choice. The horse came over here from Ireland and has run 4 times. And if you dig into the past performances a little bit, you'll see that he's really not all that far away. A little bit of a luck, maybe a little bit of maybe some pass clearing a little bit earlier, but not that far away from winning all 4 of them. And if you won all 4 of them, you certainly wouldn't be looking at 12-1 odds with Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt. And the only horse that looks like we both agree on is Smooth Like Straight. That's my 4th choice. And here, as you mentioned, does like to finish second, 6 seconds for sure, but also has 4 wins in a third in 12 at the distance. So a little bit of quick math, that equals to 11 out of 12 times, finishing in the trifecta, mostly either in the win spot or in the second, well, mostly in the second spot, but still enough wins in there to make a difference. So I'm going to go 7, 6, 5, and 2 in the Coolmore Stakes. And I have to admit that Casa Creed is probably one that should fit right in there too. So, it's just a wide open race. 12 horses, it looks like, with a bunch of also eligibles. And you could probably make a case for at least half the field winning, which is what you should get from a race that has $1 million purse, I would say.
And certainly is going to have some results related to the Breeders' Cup, in my opinion. Because I wouldn't be surprised if you see at least 4 of these horses running in the Breeders' Cup race, and maybe 1 or 2 more.
And that Breeders' Cup is less than a month away now, right? So it was it's on the 4th and the 5th, I think, in November.
November, yep.
So we're not all far from that. And of course, we'll really start to hone in our focus. But next week, Tom, we're not going to get cracking right away on the Breeders' Cup. Instead, we're going to have a pretty big day out in England again. So what are we going to be doing next Foreign Friday?
We're going to be looking at the Champions Day British style racing at Ascot. And this will be Baid's final race of his career.
Before he heads off to become his best Wilt Chamberlain impersonation.
Yeah, well, let's just put it this way. They're lining up for that horse.
Oh, yes, indeed.
No matter what the results are, they're going to still be lining up.
and they'll be cha-ching, 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 cha-ching all the way along the way, ringing that cash register.
And he's proven time and time again with all his wins that he's doing it very easily. He does remind me a bit of Flightline, just doing it on a little different surface.
Well, we'll see Flightline again. I think he's in the Breeders' Cup for sure.
Yeah.
We'll be looking forward to tomorrow watching Eddie C and Chris P. I have to really pause and think for a moment there, not to mess up those last initials as they do their spot plays. They're going to highlight Keeneland. Their focus will be on Keeneland during the Keeneland meet, so make sure you check them out. Best way to make sure you don't miss anything around here is to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And I would encourage you to read some of the comments that you see that people make. There are a lot of folks who have just found us recently, and they're like, man, we wish we'd have found you earlier. So if you haven't found us already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on Facebook, as well as the thumbs up on YouTube. Follow us on all of our social sites. You see them down there below. Our Swiss Army Sean will make sure you don't miss a beat at Horse Race, the number 2 day. Horse Race today. Terry and I will be back to do Parks on Monday, Horseshoe Indianapolis on Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what we'll do next Wednesday with Charles, but next Thursday we'll do Bank of America, Belmont at Aqueduct again. And I did my nickname for it. BOA.
No Keeneland, huh?
Well, Keeneland runs on Friday, right? So
they run Thursday.
Well, maybe we'll do Thursday at Keeneland.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works. But I don't know, because yesterday Charles hit a really nice for 50 cents early pick 4 and our prime rib paid over $900. So we hope many of you had that. So we had a comment during the week. It's there's no show like this on the internet, and it actually helps us make money at the track. I mean, what more do you want?
Well, we certainly try. Sometimes our picks are unique and not so good, but sometimes we do hit some numbers. So.
I think, Tom, considering the information that's available for the foreign races, I think we've done a really good. I mean, I know we've done a tremendous job. There's a lot of races. There's weekends where we sweep the card, and it's hard to do considering what we have in front of us.
Well, and keep in mind too, we're so used to the type of racing in this country, which is frankly consistent, even though the tracks are different, the variety of tracks that we cover. Look at the Caulfield shape. Next week, what are we going to be on? Well, Ascot with the straightaway and going up and down hills and that kind of racing, completely different. The Arc is the big sweeping turns at Perry Longchamp. And then we look at Hong Kong, and that's just a whole different animal because those fields are always got the full field, and you look at those races and scratch your head and go, okay, now what's going to happen?
Magic 8 Ball, my friend. All right.
Yep.
One way you can support the show is to hit the like button, hit the subscription, help us get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube or more 2023. That's the goal. We appreciate everybody who supports us. Thank you very much. Another way is to head over to horseracingtoday.net. You can't get a Guns N' Roses shirt. We're not allowed to sell those, but you can get a nice number 6 Horse Racing Today hat. Please do that right now. There's a 15% discount. I think it goes through Sunday. So you can support the show, save a little bit of money in these inflationary times, and get some really cool gear. I think that wraps it up for today, Tom. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, as always, good luck. These are some really decent racing from Caulfield this weekend. There's also a couple races from Randwick to take a look at if you're interested in that. I am going to. I've got some picks for Randwick, and I'm going to send them on to Terry and see what he thinks.
And you'll post them online too, I'm sure, on your Twitter account, right?
I do not post those.
Oh,
no.
You want? Okay, I'm not going to put you on a spot then. But
I just share those with Terry.
Right.
I don't share them with anybody else at this point.
All right. Well, if you want Tom to share them with you,
sometimes
follow him.
Pretty awful picks. So
if you want Tom,
I let Terry make his own mind up on them.
All right. Well, you can follow Tom. What's your Twitter follow? What's your Twitter handle, Tom?
TJD Horse Player.
TJD Horse Player. So look that up and then just pester him for all of his picks. He'll give them to you. All right. So no matter if you're pestering Tom for tonight's Insomnia Racing picks, hitting up Australia, or you're going to look at Eddie, C and Chris P tomorrow for their Keeneland plays. And we'll be back with Terry and I on Monday for Parks. I'm sure you got a list of things to do this weekend before the cold settles in for most of the country. No matter what you do this weekend, that in the end, ultimately, everything ends up in
the winner's circle, and you're a big winner.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us today. Have a fantastic weekend. Look forward to being together again next time.